Joseph, while the one in Luke is that of Mary. Unfortunately for them, the shortcomings in their rationalization are rather obvious. First, Mary's name is nowhere found in Luke's genealogy and only arises incidentally in that of Matthew. Everybody's name is mentioned but hers. Imagine a genealogy in which every name is mentioned but that of the person whose lineage is being traced. Both genealogies clearly pertain to Joseph, not Mary. Second, there is no genealogical record of any woman in the entire Bible. None of the genealogies in either the Old or the New Testament trace the lineage of a woman. Women are never given a position of such importance in the Bible as to merit a genealogy, and there is no evidence that Luke 3 provides an exception. The superiority granted men in the Bible would forestall any possibility of women being considered the equal of men. Are we to believe Mary is an exception? According to Numbers 1:18, which says, quote, declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, unquote, genealogies are traced through males only. So one can reasonably conclude that it's Joseph's lineage, not Mary's. Third, even if Luke's genealogy were that of Mary, she is disqualified because two of the ancestors in the list, Shealtiel and Zerubbabel, are descendants of Jeconias, who, according to prophecy in Jeremiah 22:28-30, would never have a descendant sitting upon the throne of David. Mary would be under the curse of Jeconias. Fourth, as a woman, Mary could never have been qualified to be heir to the throne of David. So she couldn't pass on what she could never possess, even if she was of Davidic descent. Fifth, according to Old Testament prophecy, the Messiah would be a physical descendant of David. That's in 2 Samuel 7:12-13, Psalms 89:3-4, and Psalm 132:11. Mary appears to have been from the house of Levi, not David, since her cousin Elizabeth, Luke 1:36, was a daughter of Aaron, Luke 1:5, that is, from the house of Levi. If Mary was from the house of Aaron, that is, Levi, how could either genealogy be hers, since they relate David's lineage, not Aaron's? 6. Joseph's name, on the other hand, is mentioned in Luke's genealogy, and Luke 1:27 and 2:4 show he was from the house of David. And lastly, according to 1 Chronicles 22:9-10, the Messiah had to be a descendant of Solomon. But Luke's genealogy, which is alleged to be that of Mary, is traced through Solomon's brother, Nathan. In summary, the attempt to attribute Luke's genealogy to Mary is one of the more transparent subterfuges employed by dishonest defenders of the Bible. Desperation set in because they just couldn't think of another means by which to escape a cacophony, a mess. One can easily understand why Bucaille said on page 93 of his book entitled The Bible, the Quran, and Science, quote, the genealogies of Jesus as they appear in the Gospels may perhaps be the subject that has led Christian commentators to perform their most characteristic feats of dialectic acrobatics, on a par indeed with Luke's and Matthew's imaginations. Another reason for this devious ploy by apologists to resolve the contradictory genealogies is that it solves a problem created by the virgin birth. According to prophecy, the Messiah must be a physical descendant of David. If Jesus' only genealogical connection to David is through Joseph, then Jesus couldn't be physically connected to David because the birth was virginal. Joseph was not his biological father. So apologists must attribute one of the genealogies to Mary in order to extend a physical connection from Jesus back to David. Hence the rationalization. One can only wonder why they didn't apply the genealogy in Matthew to Mary instead of the one in Luke, since one is no more applicable to her than the other. Moving on, it's a good thing people aren't judged by their ancestry, because if that were true, Jesus would fail miserably. According to the genealogy in Matthew 1, nearly all of his ancestors were guilty of infamous crimes or gross immoralities. Abraham married his sister and seduced her handmaid. Jacob seduced two of his housemaids after committing bigamy.